Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. What up, y'all? Mrs. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor June Giraffe, coming at you with another episode of Megacolony Friday. So we didn't really get that much. We didn't really get that much stuff this week. We only got like about 3 cards, but hopefully we do get like a few more cards like in the upcoming week. Because last week was like a major reveal, so of course it'll make sense that we'll get more stuff from there. We did get Gaia released on Tuesday. A lot of people don't like it. We got Phantom Blaster Overlord released today. A lot of people don't like it. So honestly, I guess I have to come up with a video sometime, asking what is considered like the perfect VR. What is like everybody wanting a VR? Because Phantom Blaster Overlord, he's not really that bad of a card. But I feel like that he is a little bit peaks reliant, which I think that's where the backlash is coming from. But overall, you kind of have like a mixed reaction. You got like a lot of people who like it, and then of course you got like a lot of people who don't like it. And then there's Gaia, where obviously a lot of people don't like it, and it just got hella backlash for no apparent reason. So, with Mega Colony, we got 2 cards that I obviously knew we were going to get. We got the Grade 3 Searcher, we got a new Grade 1, and then we also got the Sentinel Crit. So I am going to go over the Grade 1. Dorcas is just basically, restand. If your opponent has no standing units, he gets +5, and then look at the top 5, get a Grade 3, discard a card. You already know, like, basically every clan is getting that particular thing. So instead, because Dorcas is a Grade 3 searcher, and already for the fact that we already have a Grade 3 searchers, I'm going to go over, in my opinion, how many Grade 3 searchers we should be running in each of the Mega Colony decks. In technically both formats. And because we're getting the Sentinel Crit, I also want to go over the possible trigger lineups that we could be going for each of the clans as well. So, before we get into that, let's talk about this Grade 1 because, actually, no, I forgot. We got 2 cards. We got 2 Grade 1s. One of them is a promo. I almost forgot about the promo. The promo is going to be majorly important for premium formats, so we'll get to that in a bit. But the main Grade 1 that we are getting in the set is, her name is Disturbance Mutant Moshirolo. I think that's how you say it. I'm gonna call it, Moshirolo. So, Disturbance Mutant Moshirolo, acts call on the rear guard circle. Retire. Oh my god, this shit has done that shit again. I'm reading it through the phone, by the way, so like a message came up and all of a sudden, like, it just ruined everything. Okay. So, anyway, act on rear guard circle, cost retire the unit, this unit. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards with a cradle marker on it, retire it. You search your deck for up to 1 card with the same grade as the retired unit, call it to rear guard circle, and shuffle your deck. This ability may be only used by a card with the same name once per turn. Alright, so for one, the card is a very hard once per turn, which is understandable. The effect is pretty dumb, because not only you're able to call a card from your deck, but you're also able to search out a card because of the cradle marker. So you're basically getting a 2-for-1 in this particular thing. It pluses very hard. The interesting thing about it, I want to say in technicality, this is the Mega Colony version in the mains. If you really think about it. The mains basically, Restus, he searches for a Grade 1 with like 5k or less, and then calls it to the rear guard circle, Then you can't use the ability for the rest of the turn. This one is more of if your opponent has like a unit with a cradle marker on it, you retire it. You search for a unit with the same grade, call it the rearguard circle. And then you also get to search for that grade because of the cradle marker as well. So honestly, it's technically it promotes deck thinning. So it's technically our own version of the main when you really think about it. I actually like this card. I don't really mind the fact that it's a once per turn because if it wasn't, it will be obviously hella busted. Um, the good thing is it doesn't require counter blast. It doesn't require soul blast. It just requires you to retire the unit. This is definitely going to be played in both premium and standard formats, so I can definitely see a lot of people playing this card. It's very good. I can definitely see this on a full play set. Oh my god, we're getting so many good grade ones. It's ridiculous. Like that's another thing. Like Shadow Paladins and Mega Colony, they got like very good grade one lineups. But yeah, we got good grade one lineups. I feel like the grade two lineup needs a little bit of love, like just a little bit, not too much. Because we got a grade threes on lockdown. Um we got this on lockdown as well. And at the same time, man, I think the only thing that I kind of wish it did, and I know it probably would have been very busted if it did, was go off during battle phase. Like maybe like retire it after it attacked or boosted, and then you get to do the effect. But honestly, that would have been way busted because it's already bad enough for getting multi attack with Ghidorah. It would have been like a lot more busted if we got multi attack because of this card as well and we got to search out for something. Like, I mean, man, this deck is going to be going through so much deck thinning, but I feel like the trade off to all this deck thinning with cradles, with the cradle marker thing, is two things. One, going against something like Neo Nectars, where they're using a lot of grade zeros. So you want to off the Asha token though, but you don't really want to like search for your triggers either. I mean that's another thing. I mean you could, but you really don't want to. You want to keep the triggers in the deck so you're able to hit triggers every time you hit with the Vanguard. There is a card that you could use. I'm gonna put the card up on the screen because I don't remember his name. But basically, what the card does is when it's called at rest. When it attacks or boosts, its attack triples. But honestly, I feel like that teching this at one would be an interesting trick to do. But I feel like it's one of those things that you only do it if you know your locals has a lot of Neo Nectar players. Um, if your locals has a lot of Neo Nectar players, then obviously tech this. But if they don't, then I kind of suggest not to because like the space in the deck is already as tight as it is right now. So there's that. But overall, I definitely get this card a 5 out of 5. This card is amazing. um, I love this card. So the second one we're gonna go over is a promo that we did get. Shadow Paladins got a promo on Tuesday, and we got a promo on Tuesday. And honestly, this is a lot better than the other promo that we got like a month ago. So, this one is called Area Stealer. So it's on Act Rearguard Circle once per turn. If there's a marker on any fighter circle or unit, call Soul Blast 1 grade 3 and get an imaginary gift Protect. Now, obviously, we're no strangers to getting grade 3s into the soul, which is understandable. Um, This card is not really going to see that much play in standard format, but I do have a theory in premium format. So, remember at the end of the video on my last one when I was talking about would you play the old Gridora or the new Gridora in premium format? And I was like, okay, well, obviously, it's a possibility of playing both because you can use the new one in the early game and then use the other one in the late game. But you also got to remember that if you use the older Gridora, you have more access to skills. So you have access to the Cradle Marker skill, you have access to the stun ability because of the Grade 4 Gridora, and you have access to prevent your opponent from calling cards to a certain column, which is the old Grade 3 Gridora skill as well. So you put all that to consideration, you have a very interesting anti-meta deck. Here's the issue. Because if I was to go by how I would see the Grade 3 lineup, I would see it as like for the Ogredora, four of the new Intimidate Mutant Dark Face, and um two or three of Alakides, because you can call him with Empress Gridora skill and whatnot. So I definitely could see him come up in everything else. That basically means that the only card that's going to have protect markers is Intimidate Mutant Darkface, which is understandable. With this particular card, Area Stealer, this gives you the chance of getting protect markers even if you have the OG Gridora in your planer. So that way, if you ride into the OG Gridora and you have like another Grade 3 and Soul somehow, I mean, you could technically get into the same turn with what is it? It's one of the machining cards. Uh, what is it? It was one of the machining cards. Gotta look it up again. But yeah, you can use that one to put them into the soul, a Grade 3 into the soul, and then use Area Stealer to get to Soul Blast a Grade 3 out the soul, and all of a sudden you get a protect marker. So honestly, that's pretty good in my honest opinion. And to be fair, you don't really have to run much. I would say run two because let's be real, Grade 1 lineup is packed. So it's understandable that it's a possibility you might not be able to run this out of full playset, but it's interesting to look at nonetheless. Alright, so now that we got all of that out the way, let's talk about Grade 3 searchers. We have a lot of them, and the cradle mechanic searches too. But the problem with the cradle mechanic is, in order to search, your opponent has to also give out rear guards for you to hit with the cradle marker and search for that as well. So, when you put all that to consideration, you do still have to have some type of Grade 3 searchers just in case your opponent wants to play, oh, let's not contribute to the field until like my Grade 3 turn. Because there is a possibility that people are going to actually do that. So, the issue is we got technically 4 Grade 3 searchers. We got Little Dorcas, we got Machining Hornet, Machining Mantis, and Sticky Bolus. So Sticky Bolus is a Dark Face only Grade 3 searcher. So when I talk about Grade 3 searchers and I talk about the Dark Face deck, we're only going to put her in there. Outside of that, in every other deck that is not Dark Face, we only have 3. Okay, so Hornet is a Grade 1 that allows you to search for a Grade 3 after it attacks or boost. And if it's on the rear guard circle, you put it into the soul. this is kind of sort of an important trait in my honest opinion, because sometimes you do kind of need soul, because I do notice that a lot of the cards requires a soul blast. So when you put all that to consideration, I do feel like that I do feel like that he does play like a huge role compared to the other grade 2 searchers. When it comes to Mantis, on the other hand, you do have the fact that he's an on-place counterblast one, and once his ability is done, he's just a vanilla at that particular point. So once he done his job, he done his job. With Dorcas, it's technically the same way, but it does have use because it does gain 5k whenever all of your opponent's units are at rest. And of course, what's her face is an on play sticky bolus, but she does also have another effect, which is pretty good. It allows you to draw a card possibly if her attack is 20k or higher. So, with all that being said, we're going to look at six particular decks. We're going to look at three regular ones and then three the premium version. So three Dark Face, Machining, and Gunning Kaleo in both standard and premium. So that's going to be the six decks. So let's look at Dark Face. I feel like that Sticky Bowls is definitely played at 4 because it definitely searches out for your Dark Face. You always want Ghidorah in hand, so it's understandable to run her. With Mantis, it's kind of 50-50. I want to say with Mantis, if you do run them at 1 or 2. You don't really need too many grade 3 searches at that particular point. So honestly, he's pretty good at 2 because he does have, like, he isn't on place, and like I said, once he uses his effect, regardless if you get a grade 3 or not, he's done his job. He's going to stay 6 save for the rest of the turn. The moment it gets to your opponent's turn, he's just a vanilla at that particular point. And he's also not a bad grade 2 ride at the same time. So you also got to put all that to consideration. With Hornet, like I said, the interesting thing about Hornet is that he gathers soul. The drawback, of course, is the fact that the attack has to hit in order for him to get said soul. I feel like the on hit pressure is the problem with this card, and it kind of sort of makes the whole soul thing not consistent. But at the same time, like I said, it does have on hit pressure. So your opponent is going to be blocking the attacks that Hornet is either attacking or boosting more often than any other attack. It doesn't matter if it hits or not, it's just the fact that your opponent is more than likely wanting to make sure that this attack does not hit at all. And I understand that. So, in technicality, I want to say run Hornet at 4. On the other hand, you do have Dorcas, where he does gain power whenever your opponent has no standing units. The problem that I have with this is, in order to get the grade 3 search, you have to play him from hand, which means that if you're the superior column with the grade 1 that I mentioned earlier, then more likely you will still get the 5k boost, which is good, but at the same time, you won't really get the grade 3 search at all. So when you put all that into consideration, maybe it's a possibility that you run them at 2. So you'll have like a total of 12 grade 3 searchers. You have 4 Hornet, 4 Sticky Bolus, 1 to 2 Mantis and 1 to 2 Dorcas. So that's how you'll basically do it in Darkface. Gunning Kaleo, I kind of want to say that you want to run a lot more grade 3 searchers in Gunning Kaleo due to the simple fact that Dove Speed is an on place, and once his effect is done, his effect is done. He's just a vanilla 12k beat stick after the turn is over. With Gunning Kaleo, once the turn is over, he no longer has triple drive and possible quad drive, but he can use his other effects, which is the guard restrict effect. Honestly, I would say because you have to do a lot more on placement with both the vanguard and the rear guard circle, I would definitely say that you should run practically all of the grade 3 searchers at full playset, maybe. Not Sticky Bullets, of course, though, but basically, Mantis, Hornet, and Dorcas. You should be playing all of them at 4, maybe, but that's just a theory at this particular time because, like I said, the grade 1 lineup is very tight right now because we have so many good grade 1s to go off to. So, um, with that particular fact, you do also have machining, where I want to say you also should run all 3 of the grade 3 searchers at a full playset. Maybe not the standard version of machining. I want to say yes, Dorcas, because if you're running machining, you're definitely going to be basing your deck around Spark Hercules, and since Spark Hercules could guarantee that all of the units are going to be at rest, it makes sense to run Little Dorcas at a full playset. It also does make sense to probably run either a playset of Hornet or a playset of Mantis, not both. Not in the standard build, because unlike the premium build, you don't have to have all your cards with machining in their name in order for you to have consistency with the deck. So, now you look at the premium version of each deck. I feel like that everything in Darkface is going to technically stay the same. I probably would say like the only difference is you're not going to run Mantis at all. I want to say not running Mantis at all is definitely going to be like an option. So after that, now we get to Gunning Kaleo, which I feel like is the most unknown at the moment because I'm still trying to figure out what will be like the end game of playing, Gunning Kaleo in premium format. So I want to say for now, I guess run the exact same lineup. Then you also have machining. This time, instead of running Dorcas at a playset, you don't run Dorcas at all, and you just run a playset of Machining Mantis and you run a playset of Hornet because they both have machine in their name, and a lot of the older machining support is very strict on the naming when it comes to the cards, which is the reason why you run both of them at a full playset. So when you put all that into consideration, just for an overview, machining premium, you run Hornet at 4, Mantis at 4, Dorcas at 0, no sticky bullets, of course. With Gunning Kaleo in standard format, you run 4 Dorcas or 4 Hornet, and you run for Mantis, no sticky bullets. Gunning Kaleo, you run 4 of the Hornet, you run 2 of the Dorcas. Yeah, 4 of the Hornet, 2 of the Dorcas, or vice versa. You run probably a play set. Oh yeah, that's right. I said play set of everything. So, I don't know why I messed up there. So, a play set of gunning of all of the grade 3 searchers except for Sticky Bolus in both the standard and premium format. With Dark Face, you run 4 Sticky Bolus, 1 to 2 Mantis, you run 4 Hornet and 2 Dorcas in standard format. In premium format, you run pretty much the same thing except for no Mantis. That's basically how it goes. So, last but not least, because I know this video is getting a little bit too long, now we talk about the trigger lineup. The trigger lineup is going to be weird because part of me wants to run a full 12, with 4 of those being a Sentinel crit. It kind of sort of is possible, but I also do feel like that there has to be some type of draw power in certain decks as well. So, the way I see it, in my honest opinion, and this is just theory crafting, I feel like that this is going to be a beta version, and by the time we get all of this stuff revealed, that's when I'll probably come out with my full version. In Dark Face, I feel like it will be perfect to run 12 critical. And the reason being is because you have all of that search power with Kratos, so which means you're going to have a decent hand size. You do have a few cards that does promote draw power. You're deck thinning very quickly, so there's no point of you really running draw triggers. Like I guess like the easiest way to talk about it is like look at Great Nature, where it's kind of hard to justify running a lot of draw triggers because you're self-milling. And because you're self-milling, you're going to deck out very quickly. And I kind of feel like that's the same thing with the Cradle mechanic. You're going to be searching so much that it's going to be a possibility that you're going to just you're going to deck out pretty quickly if you run like X amount of draw triggers. So I definitely feel like that Ghidorah could definitely get away with 12 critical, 4 of those being the Sentinel crit. However, if you want to, because sometimes you do need a PG, well, actually no. Keep it at 12 crit, because we're going to be playing Protect 1 anyway, so there's no point of being like, oh yeah, let's run like some type of like PGs in the deck, because the Protect 1 markers are going to be the PGs of the deck anyway. It's going to suck that your opponent's going to know exactly how many you have, but that's going to be the case regardless. So I would definitely say run 12 critical in Dark Face. It might change, it might not, it depends. So far the way I've been play testing it, I haven't play tested with the 12 crit yet, but I have played it with like 8 crit, 4 draws, 4 heals, and it's done pretty decent. I feel like that the worst thing that I'm looking at the moment is it kind of feels like the match drags on a lot, which is kind of sort of like the thing I'm like worried about right now. It feels like the match drags on, and honestly, we don't really want that. So let's see. When it comes to gunning Kaleo, I feel like gunning Kaleo is a little bit more forgiving with running a total of 8 crits, 4 draws, 4 heals, because you're not going to be using the Cradle mechanic as much as you're going to be using it in Dark Face. But at the same time, I do believe that it does need some type of pressure here and there in order for it to keep a decent hand size. Now, of course, you could technically run Sticky Bolus in the deck, And the reason why I say you could technically run her is because you want to use her second ability, where if she's 20k or higher, you can Soul Blast one and draw a card. I mean, that definitely would come in handy though, but that's just me. At the same time, I do feel like that you do have I mean, you do have like the triple dry check, which does also help with the hand power as well. But let's be real, there's so many decks that hits for pretty hard that the triple dry check is not really even going to matter at the end of the day. So yeah, I definitely feel like that um four draws, I mean, yeah, eight crits, four draws, four heals. That's definitely how you should play that. With machining, on the other hand, I definitely feel like it's six crits, six draws, four heals, and the reason for it is because it doesn't really have that many. It really doesn't have that much draw power. You could use some of the other cards that does give it to you, but I feel like that there's so much setup that you have to do with the deck, that you don't it like the whole thing doesn't really justify it. So I definitely feel like that you need a lot more draw power in machining than you do in, gunning Kaleo or Dark Face or anything else like that. So I would definitely say run 664. Yeah, 6644. No, wait. 664. That's what it is. That's what it is. I don't